This is the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, heard exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com, the world's greatest radio. Radio the way it should be heard. And now, Mr. Neely Fuller.
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. Only confuse you. Only confuse you.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio. You are in touch with the compensatory concept. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is radio the way it should be heard. We have live on the line from Washington, D.C., Mr. Neely Fuller. And by the way, this show can be heard every Wednesday from 9 until 11 Eastern Time. I was asked to mention that. 9 until 11 Eastern Time. So make sure you tell your friends that it's a 2-hour program now from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. exclusively on TalkTainmentRadio.com. In a few minutes after I let Mr. Fuller address you, we will continue our discussion that we had last week on the first area of people activity, which is economics, however you want to say that, and we'll have Mr. Fuller continue to discuss that, and we will take your questions at that time, and you can do so by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at MrBobby@gmail.com. I don't know how many of you tune in to the show before we come on Conversate in the AM with Kahari and Ed and a few others. It's a very interesting show. You might want to do that. Maybe I'll do that as a promo. They had a very interesting discussion about the assassination of Martin Luther King. Good info, some info that I didn't know, but you may want to tune into that. Anyway, Mr. Fuller is the author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. It's a compensatory counter-racist code, and he has a revised, expanded edition out. It's simply a textbook workbook for thought, for speech, and or action for victims of racism, which is white supremacy. Now, you can get your copy of that book by going to producejustice.com. That is producejustice.com. And on the screen will come all the information that you need to do to get the book and all the other pertinent information. And also, you can, for purchase, get a compensatory counter-racist codified word guide. And this will help you in wording your compensatory response to questions that are asked of you, and Mr. Fuller will get into that later as the show progresses. So, without further ado, let me introduce to some and present to others Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. and Mr. Fuller. Good morning, and how are you?
Good morning. And I'm still learning.
And you are still learning. What is on your mind this morning, or did someone contact you, or something that just stood out from among the ordinary?
I'll try to be as brief as possible. Someone sent me an email about the Moorish Science Temple of America and asked me basically whether that is recognized, the individual members of that temple.
What is it called?
It's called the Moorish, M-O-O-R-I-S-H, Moorish Science Temple of America. And he says, as far as his information that has come to him, that the individuals that are members of that temple can or have, to the best of my understanding, petition that they are sovereign people as being members of that individual group. And so that they are sovereign and have been recognized as such and or could be recognized as such. And the basic question was that could each and every black person who is a victim of racism, or perceives him or herself as being a victim of racism, do the same thing, petition on the basis of being prisoners of war, and that they would become sovereign. I think that's what the question was. I didn't quite understand the question, but my basic answer is that I am not familiar, first of all, with the Moorish Science Temple of America and the U.S. government, other than I have heard about them for years. And so the code says, from that viewpoint, everybody who has heard about them or who has not heard about them can look into it and see what they're all about. And I'm quite sure that if they're established, they have people who can explain what that group is and what its goals are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because I don't know enough about them to speak about them intelligently. Now, the answer to another question that also was associated with that question is that the premise was that some people could consider themselves, here again, sovereign, and applying the Moorish law to themselves as individuals, like I said just before. And I thought about that, and I said, well, I don't know anything about that, here again, and that people can look into it if that's what they choose to do. And the key word here is being sovereign. I don't know exactly what that would mean in a practical sense. What I have said was, all I do, what I have written, is that each and every individual person who is classified as non-white is a prisoner of war in the system of white supremacy. That one thing is clear to me. In the system of white supremacy, if you're classified as non-white, you're already in captivity. So I don't see how a person in captivity can be, quote, unquote, sovereign. In fact, I have the word guide here that I have written, and I say that you can look up the word sovereign in the word guide, according to what I have written, on page 375. And what I say is you use that word with caution, because I don't know exactly what that word would mean when it applies to non-white people in the system of white supremacy. I've heard of Indian nations being sovereign nations. All the, the Apache tribes and whatnot being sovereign nations. The Creek Indian nation being a sovereign nation. Maybe the Iroquois, I don't know. The Apaches, etc. The Sioux being independent, sovereign nations. But within the system of white supremacy, I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean. That's very vague to me. I think that the word should be used with great caution when you talk about sovereign. What does that mean in practical terms? So, like I said, in response to the questions, all of the questions, the two questions that were sent to me, I really don't have a definitive response that would be intelligent enough for this audience to follow. But they can look into the history of the Moorish Science Temple and what its status is now in the world, and then go from there themselves by contacting the people who know the most about it. That's what I would recommend. Mm-hmm. You want to find out about anything, contact the people who are mentioning whatever it is that they are mentioning. In this case, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and find out what all of that means and what the sovereignty means, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I address everything that I say to the individual victim of racism as a prisoner of war, and all of the privileges of a prisoner of war are given out by the people who are the masters of the prison, who are the white supremacists. So all we're in position to do right now is be in an asking mode. We're not in a demanding mode. When you demand something, that means that you have the power to back up your demand. You tell people what you are going to do. You don't ask them anything. You don't have to petition anything. You just tell people, I'm going to do this, and you're not big enough to stop me. And if you think you are, try me. That's when you make demands. Up until then, all of the non-white people on this planet come under, according to the code, the system of white supremacy, and none of them are in any position to make any demands of the white supremacists. They can make demands of each other because the white supremacists allow that. But when they face the white supremacists will determine what their status is. And while we're talking about titles and whatnot, titles don't mean anything to the white supremacists as applied to non-white people. Recently, a lady, I saw it in the newspapers just the other day, who was on a plane, and her title was doctor, a black lady.
Yes.
And I understand that she rushed forward and said, I can help this person who seems to be in trouble. And this person is in need of a doctor, and I am a doctor. That's my title. But I understand some white person took a look at him and said, how can that be your title? I know what your title is in so many words. And I guess the title universally would be, the title is the N-word. I mean, that's the only title, if you got color in your skin, that matters. I mean, you don't have any other title other than that. You're not sovereign, nothing. You're not a doctor. You're not a chief of a tribe. You're not a leader of anything. You know, even if you have a title of president of anything, president of an organization or president of a country, to a white supremacist, that means absolutely nothing in the system of white supremacy.
Yes.
And that's been proven here in 2016 over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did see that, and it was something else. Okay. Let's see here. Moving on here. Let's do this and then get this out the way so we can have be uninterrupted, Mr. Bobby. Talktainment Radio is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility that have hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, health, wellness, religion, and politics. Now, here's one that I would like to share with you, and it's simply called Conversate in the AM. Now, Conversate in the AM with Kahari and Mr. Brother Ed, and sometimes the righteous Reverend Peterman, going where no show dares to go. And you can join the crew as they bring you provocative, stimulating, and controversial news from around the world as well as locally. Now, Conversate in the AM can be heard daily from 8 to 10 on talktainmentradio.com. The radio the way it should be heard, and they were blowing up today. They dropped some information on the assassination or murder, would probably be more appropriate, on Dr. Martin Luther King, some different aspects, and they had various guests on there to bring out some very stimulating conversation. Anyway, Conversate in the AM, heard exclusively on Talktainment Radio, radio the way it should be heard. Okay, the phone lines are now open, 1-877-932-9766. We are going to continue our discussion on economics, or economics, however you want to say that. You can also Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and chances are I will not get to your email or Gmail today because we have several already in the backed up, but we'll do the best we can. Mr. Fuller, last week on the economics, you mentioned, I guess you could say it's a formula, but you mentioned time and energy as the one of the components of that. Could you briefly go over that, what you meant by that?
Economics is the use of time and energy. That's what it is. Most people, when you say economics, they immediately think about money. Money is a tool of economics. You can make anything money if you already have the power over people. Economics is about time, the use of time and energy by people. People make the economics. There would be no economics without people. So then it comes down to who are the people who are in charge of the uses of time and energy of the people of this planet. But when it comes to the time and energy of non-white people, the white supremacists determine how the time of a black person, a non-white person, is going to be used, and how the energy of a non-white person is going to be used. So that's the economics, that's how economics within that frame of reference works in the system of white supremacy. So the white supremacists are in charge of the uses of the time and energy of their subjects. They also have their own time and energy program, which is what? White supremacy. So everything that they do is designed for their energy and their time to be used to maintain and refine, if they choose to do so, the system of white supremacy. So that's what that's really all about.
Yes.
And so they are also the masters of money. Many black people, sometimes I've heard them say down through the years, "Oh man, I don't have time to talk about all this race stuff. That's a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, that's complicated and all like that. I ain't got time for that. Just give me some money." Well, money has a source, and also money has a value. And the value that is put on money is put on, that value is put on money, what we call money, whatever that medium of exchange is, by the white supremacists. Worldwide, there are some, you might say, some black people who say that they have quote-unquote sovereign nations and that they have their quote-unquote own money.
Yes.
But the white supremacists will take a look at that money and say, "Oh, that's some of you black people's money. You call yourself being a nation, and, you're sovereign, whatever that's supposed to mean to you. It means nothing to me. And that you have your own money, and that doesn't mean anything to me either, because I own you. I own you and your so-called sovereignty and your family and your so-called government and all of your so-called resources. I own them because I own you. I have domination over you, black person. So therefore, whatever you call your so-called economy, I have domination over it. And the money that you have manufactured with your picture on it that says that you are a sovereign nation and all like that, and that your money is worth this and worth that, your money is only worth what I say it's worth. I'm a white supremacist. I determine the value of everybody's money.
Yes.
I even determine what money is. If I say that a quartz rock is going to be the money for the world tomorrow, that you better be scrambling around trying to get some quartz rocks, because I said that that's the new money of the entire world.
Okay.
No other money counts.
All righty. Before we go to the call, somebody texted me and wanted to know how could the conversate in the AM be from 8 to 10 when the compensatory concept is on from 9 to 11. And I believe the simple answer, and I got Ed here, is that the conversate in the AM, Ed, is on streaming, and then when we come in, we come in live to interrupt the streaming. Am I correct on that?
Well, it's on stream from...
Wait
a minute, Neely. Go ahead, sir. Yeah, till 9 o'clock. On Wednesdays?
Every day.
Oh, every day? So from 8 until 9? Okay. All right. Now, I've just been corrected. Conversate in the AM is on from 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. Okay, 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. Eastern, and then we have regular programming from 9 on. So that question has been asked and answered. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. Okay, Galen, are we ready? Okay, line one. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question according to the code?
Good morning. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Good morning. I have two questions for Mr. Fuller. The first question is on page 61 in the code book, and it says that with all that you have, you, as a victim of racism, do not have as much as you should have had long before you had it. with all that you have, you still do not have justice, which is the basic thing that must be had in order to give value to all that you have. Mr. Fuller, with that being said, would it be an accurate statement to say that victims of white supremacy are not successful until we end the system of white supremacy?
Absolutely. That should be our measure of success. People use that word success all the time, somewhere right now, in colleges and schools, on campuses and whatnot. I mean, I'm quite sure that word success is being used over and over and over again. And, the question is raised. I mean, many conferences start off, what's the definition of success? When do you know that you are a successful person here on this planet? That you have now become officially, quote, unquote, successful. That after all the years that have gone before you, you finally arrived at that golden era called success. Or you have arrived at that plateau or that platform or that embryo or whatever you want to call it, that you are now included among all of the people who have been classified as successful people. What is the criteria for it? So different people have different ideas all over the world. Some farmer right now is saying, I'm a success. I mean, because I finally got this land that wasn't raising my turnips to turn out some turnips. And even though it's not exactly the way that I want it to be, and I'm half starving, I mean, trying to get these turnips out of the ground, and finally I got some of them out of the ground, so at least, I mean, I'm not fully starving like I was before. I'm getting something started here. So I have been successful to a degree. See, so different people have their ideas of what is successful. And then another person will say, well, I'm not going to be successful until I have $1 billion, not one penny less. I consider that to be my goal. I want to be a billionaire. Millionaires don't count nowadays. Billionaires count. So I want to be with that billionaire class, at least 1 billion. Some people have billions and billions and billions and billions and billions. But if I get 1 billion, I'll consider myself a success. And that would be that person's measure of success. But the victims of racism on this planet, regardless of what they have or don't have, according to what I've written, the measure of success should be, first of all, white supremacy no longer exists, and it's been replaced by the system of justice.
Okay. What is your second question, sir?
My second question for Mr. Fuller is, Mr. Fuller, why do victims of racism, non-white people, have such a hard time in accepting that our goal and our primary measure should be ending the system of racism, white supremacy?
Because we have another goal, primarily. And you can always tell, I think it's Confucius who said, people really don't, you can't really have difficulty in figuring people out. All you have to do is just watch them and see what they value, see what they do, what they actually do once they get a little bit of chance to do it. See what people will actually do. You can always figure people out. People are not hard to figure out at all. I think it's Confucius that said that many years ago. And so when you watch black people, particularly in the Northwestern Hemisphere, just watch us. What are we basically interested in more than anything else? And I've said that this many times on this program and on others and also in the textbook. We're basically interested in showing off to each other. That is our goal more than anything. And using any means to do that. I mean, wake up in the morning and go to bed at night at a subliminal level, you might say, or at a very bold level. We're basically working hard to impress each other. But what is the value of that in a system of white supremacy? It's like slaves trying to impress each other at the bottom of the ship. So they impress each other. I show you my chains in the bottom of the slave ship, and say, hey, look at my chains. They're shinier than yours. Da ha ha. So I'm a little, more intelligent than you. I have advanced more than you. I mean, even though we are chained together at the bottom of the ship. That's the way I see it, according to compensatory counter-racist logic. And as long as we have that goal, see, our goal is too shallow. Just do just enough. People are still talking about in 2016 having a Black Wall Street, whereas the compensatory view is we want to be able to make every black person a walking Wall Street. Wherever that black person goes, anywhere on the planet, and eventually anywhere in the known universe, become a universal people, not some people who are trying to impress each other over on the other side of the tracks. I mean, and calling ourselves distinctive black people. I mean, come over here every now and then, you tourists, and look at us black people. I mean, as you examine everything that's going on in the great wide world. I mean, we got a little sideshow over here of some black people. I mean, and come over here and take a little look at us as we dance around the fire, impressing each other. We got to get out of that kind of mentality. That's why we join little gangs and whatnot and say, my gang is bigger than your gang. My Negro gang, my black gang is more powerful than your black gang. So let's go to fighting each other up and down the different blocks and whatnot. And look at me. I'm very impressive. I mean, let me go over here to the other neighborhood and strut around and show them what I have and what the white supremacists allowed me to have. I mean, and look at the knowledge I have acquired. And some of us would travel on the world, around the world and whatnot, and show, hey, look what I have learned from the white supremacists that you other black people have not been able to learn. So I'm going to strut around among you and show off my knowledge and understanding. And then another thing that we do, sexual ability. Showing off our sexual ability among each other. I mean, our conquest, black males strutting around. Take off my T-shirt, flex my muscles, show my tattoo, get me another hairdo. I mean, like a peacock strutting around among a bunch of other birds and whatnot, the female birds, and hey, look at all my feathers. Hey, look at me, look at me. I am, the epitome of black malehood. I can really gather up a whole bunch of females and call them my stable and whatnot. I mean, and sit up there with my diamond rings on and my pink hat and my gold slippers. And,
yes,
and I am the man over here in the hood, king of the hood. Every black person, as far back as I can remember, our ambition, our idea of success is supposed to be king of the hood.
King of the hood.
That's a long-winded answer to your question, but I want to nail that in. We got to stop having as our goal impressing each other and start talking about being universal man and universal woman.
All right. Thank you, caller. And
Thank you.
TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, and check us out on WCRS-FM. Ready. Welcome back to TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go. You can download the TalkTainmentRadio.com to your cell phone or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is your co-host. My name is Mr. Bobby on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our topic is a continuation from last week, which is economics. You can direct all your questions there, but you can also go off topic, which, you can do and have Mr. Fuller address your concerns according to the code. And do we have the caller back? Okay. All right. Before we go to the Gmail from South Africa. Let's go to line number one. Okay, good morning. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question according to the compensatory code?
Good morning. I would like to ask Mr. Fuller if he thinks that the system of white supremacy / racism has become weaker or weakened in his lifetime.
Mr. Fuller?
No, not in essence. Around the edges, they have done some trimming and whatnot. Just like in any business, the system of white supremacy is a business. So they have had to do some reorganizing. And I'll say since starting with really the mid-1950s, worldwide, right after, quote, unquote, World War II, it started kind of gelling then, what they call World War II. Actually, there's only one war, and that's the war between those who believe in white supremacy and those that don't. Everything else is just a battle within that war, taking all kinds of forms. But actually, the changes start being made, first of all, just prior to what we call World War II. Some symptoms of the changes were made, just very, very slight, because when people move around, and major conflicts tend to have people be forced to move around. So when people move around, this causes all kinds of changes, and some things kind of get out of the hands of those who have control over things, and they have to make adjustments. So what the white supremacists have done, they've made adjustments. The system of white supremacy itself, like it says in the textbook, goes through 4 stages: establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement. Now, it was long established, the system of white supremacy, a long time ago. I don't know when, but it's been established, and it is the only government on the planet now that's worthy of the name government. And so it's been maintained all this time since it's been established. Once you get a business established, you try to maintain your business. Then after that, you go to the 3rd stage, you try to expand your business. Well, how did the system of white supremacy expand when it's already supreme? How does something that's already supreme expand? According to logic. Well, it expands by you're taking in more and more people all the time, because there are more people on the planet now than there was, say, 2,000 years ago or 3,000 years ago. So most of these people are classified as non-white. So you're taking in, your business is expanding, just like running a poultry farm or a cattle farm or whatever. Your products, the more of your products you get, the more of your business is expanding. So the white supremacists have as their product gathering up more and more non-white people under their rulership. And then they go into the 4th stage, which is what? Refinement. Refinement means, just like when you get your business established, you refine it by putting the finishing touches on it. Like if you're running a restaurant, you refine your menu. You you bring in some new tables and chairs and whatnot, and you kind of do some rearranging there. You might go outside and put a different sign up. I mean, that old sign looks a little weather-beaten or something like that. So you put up a new sign, to attract more customers and whatnot, because you're refining what you already have. And this is what the white supremacists have been trying to do for the last, I'll say, 30 years, particularly since the 1960s. They have been trying to put the finishing touches on it so that it doesn't look like white supremacy anymore. It looks like something else altogether.
Yes.
Like what they call democracy, what they call freedom, what they call justice, but really it's just a repackaged system, a refined presentation of the same old thing. Yes. That's all they're really doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Thank you, caller, for your call.
Thank you.
All righty. Let's go to the Gmails. Mr. Fuller, we have a lady from South Africa. Delamini is her name, and if I mispronounced it, excuse me, I tried to do the best I can. Anyway, she says, Mr. Fuller, I'm from South Africa, and I am from the Republic of South Africa. Mr. Fuller, I'm seeing a lot of sexual confusion occurring lately in South Africa, and the white supremacists pushing the agenda. My question is, are they doing this to black people chemically or just by programming or both? I am scared to consume their food and consume their tap water now. Now, as a result, my sexual confusion and let's see, wait a minute. Excuse me. Just by programming or both, I am scared to consume their food or consume their tap water. Now, as a result, my lady of 7 years recently told me that she might be asexual. And I told her to go listen to Mr. Neely Fuller about sexual confusion. And she came back and told me that she isn't asexual. They're currently employing a lot of women of color and black males left unemployed, and the so-called feminists and liberals interfering in black people's private affairs. I usually have to urge the lady I'm with to listen to Mr. Neely as a way of getting things in perspective. How do men survive without the love of women, and our women our women being turned against us, and vice versa? Thank you for your guidance.
Yes, 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 yes. The white supremacists worldwide are working feverishly, trying to come up with new ideas even of how they can best confuse the non-white people of this planet in their sexuality in every possible way that they can think of. They are burning midnight oil, feet on the desk, yawning, drinking coffee. If I might just have you picture a scene in your mind. Have all of their computers running. Everything about sexuality that you can name. They're looking at it in microscopes. They're looking at it on computer screens, on television screens, doing all the research that they can in every book, trying to figure out for the future just how, all the different ways, trying to come up with dozens of ways, hundreds of ways to confuse the sexuality of non-white people. They are working full time on it. I mean, they are brainstorming it. They are getting all of their best minds being devoted to that. Listen to me now. I'm either telling the truth or I'm making it up. But just go and look for yourself, just like the lady is saying. And wherever you find any black people showing any signs of intelligence, of wanting to get out of the situation that they're in, make the world a better place, to come up with new ideas and new approaches to getting things done. Wherever you find anywhere on the planet, non-white people, anywhere, trying to do this, the white supremacists are coming in and going at them in every area of activity and concentrating heavily on the area of sex. How can we throw these people in the mass confusion, torn up confusion, ragged confusion in their sexuality, so that they can't even recognize what sex is, and just, I'll say, as soon as possible. Don't even put a time limit on it. Don't put a time frame on it. Try to get it done as soon as possible, as much of it as you can possibly do. try to confuse them so that you don't have anything that even is recognized as a male or a female, that such a thing is considered absurd, that's off the hook, I mean, insane. This is how they're trying to portray the future sexuality of non-white males and females.
Yes.
Everywhere in the known universe.
Okay.
And look for it. Look for it. Yes, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
In every way that they can.
Every way. Okay. TalkTainmentradio.com. We go where you go, and you can download the TalkTainmentRadio.com to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on The Compensatory Concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. And if you would like to get in contact with the show, you can by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. Mr. Fuller, there was a comment made on MSNBC, and I was wondering what would the compensatory code or response would be. The rule, or rather the statement on MSNBC was called New Rule, and it said, if you don't have a vagina, you don't get to make laws regarding them. What would be the compensatory response to that?
Now, the statement is what?
The statement is, and I'm reading it, if you don't have a vagina, you don't get to make laws regarding them.
You don't get to make love.
No, you don't get to make laws.
Make laws.
Yes, regarding them.
Regarding vaginas.
Yes.
Oh, well, it depends on who's doing the talking. I mean, what they mean by that. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
I have no idea what that means. So, according to the code, whenever a person makes a statement about something, and that's a statement, the person making the statement should explain the statement and should explain that statement in depth.
All righty. That is the compensatory response. Okay.
Right.
Now, going to the Gmail from Brother Fard, he says this, Mr. Fuller, in my analysis, police officers are sometimes scared to go after the real criminal. They would prefer to arrest the innocent. This happened to me while waiting for the Metro Railway one day. The lady in the booth told them over the loudspeaker that the culprit went out on the other side as they were about to grab me. I was just going home from work. So you can never be too careful. I mean, I don't see a code for that. Do you?
Yes. Yes, the code says what?
Don't fuss.
We're in the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
And if you are classified as non-white in the system of white supremacy, you will be. You can always look for it. You should expect to be brutalized. You should expect to be picked up, you might say, by people in law enforcement and falsely charged. You can expect to be gunned down for no reason, either directly or indirectly by the white supremacists or someone acting in the system of white supremacists behalf. That goes with the territory. You're already a prisoner of war. Prisoners of war are pushed around. That's the characteristic of being a prisoner of war. We are already prisoners of war. We have been captive. We were born in captivity. Everybody who is non-white that's on this planet now was born within the system of white supremacy. It was already established. All the people who fought against it and whatnot are long since dead before the system of white supremacy got established. Once it was established, everybody on this planet now, because the system of white supremacy has been in business so long, everybody who's on the planet now is in the system of white supremacy. And all of the non-white people are subject to that system, born into the system. So therefore, anything that shouldn't happen to you is likely to happen.
Okay.
Why? Because you're a prisoner of that system. And that system is designed to do what? Mistreat people of color.
Okay. Before we take a call, that statement before last, if you don't have a vagina, you don't get to make laws regulating them, is under the title New Rule. It was on MSNBC under the Rachel Maddow show, for further clarification. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. What line are we on? Line number 1? Okay. What is your question for Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. according to the code?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller. Say, look, I do want to just say, now, since we live in a country with these people here, when I'm not talking about global problems right now, see, this isn't like Vietnam or China or stuff. See, those people have a country. We're in a country with these folks. It's not like we could fight them from within. I mean, look, how did they win over there? With bloodshed, with rifles. Now, the way they don't want to surrender white supremacy for justice because they don't have to. They don't want it. It benefits them. So the only way to defeat that will be with the same can of whoop-ass that they put on everybody else. Do you understand me? It's just not going to go away. Comment? They're not going to surrender it. Then the only way to do that, to make them do, would be with a pain element. As soon as blacks and everybody else get the balls to do that. I mean, they're not going to say, well, hey, we're going to do a system of justice because the black people and Mr. Neely Fuller and everybody else. Nobody, you don't see Vietnam and China people worried about the white people. They come back over there, they're going to get kicked out of there again. Now, it's hard for us to do from within here because we're with these folks and we're joining the military and doing things, you know. See, fighting from within would be very difficult. So if we had a country, then we can actually introduce that pain element and run these people and show them that they bleed too. Now, I understand Mr. Fuller's point, but he's really building up this white supremacy stuff. They sitting back laughing. They can't believe that somebody's really glorifying them that way. You have a comment, Mr. Fuller?
Okay, Mr. Fuller, you want to comment on that?
Well, first of all, I couldn't hear him at all. His voice was so thin. I mean, it wasn't amplified enough for me to hear what he was saying. I could pick up a few words, I think.
Well, what you picked up, could you comment on what you picked up?
What I could pick up was that if we followed the pattern of some of the other people, the non-white people in other places, now, there's no such thing as a place, according to what I have written, on the planet. Some black people are a little better off than others, and that is almost from block to block, almost anywhere that you go. I mean, from person to person. Two people standing on a bus stop, and they're both black. One black person might be a little better off than the other black person standing on the bus stop. So if you make those kind of comparisons, but all of the non-white people are subject to the system of white supremacy. That's what white supremacy means. And no one has figured out what to do about it. That's why I wrote a book with that intention. The United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, I wrote that book with the intention of solving the race problem. In other words, open the book and the things that you're supposed to be doing to solve the race problem without going any place except where you are. Just starting from where you are, because you can't be any place except where you happen to be. And wherever you happen to be when you leave that place is somewhere else, but you're still going to be under white supremacy. So what you do is have a code that's designed, hopefully, I mean, according to what I think anyway, will make the biggest impact that has been made up to this date against the system of white supremacy.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with location, because there is no such thing as a location you can go to, some Shangri-La, some utopia, some breathing space that you can go to, some geographical area that you can use as a base against white supremacy. Not on this planet, not on any other planet. Even if you go to another planet, the white supremacists have to take you there even to get you set up. So, I mean, that will show you right then. I mean, hey, you know, who's in charge? Who is in charge here? White supremacy means just that. Absolute supremacy. Supreme. The boss. The person that tells you everything to do in every area of activity. So you have got to evolve out of that prison and erode the prison itself, as you evolve as a person. Everything that I've written in the code book is designed for the individual person. There's no way to organize against the system of white supremacy.
Okay.
It's not going to happen. You have to unify, and you
right.
unify using logic.
All righty. All right. Thank you for your call, caller. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go quickly to the Gmails. Mr. Fuller, this is from Rajib. Says, Mr. Fuller, what was the name of your mother, and what impact did she have on you towards writing the code book?
Oh, the impact that she had was just giving birth to me. And other than that, I don't know of anything. And her name was Edna Lewis Fuller.
Okay. I don't know what that. Well, anyway, that's what this person wanted to do.
Yes, I mean, she gave birth to me, and I've been here since she gave birth to me, and that was the impact. Mm-hmm. I mean, I would say that was a pretty excellent start. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having this conversation now. And I would not have written anything or experienced the things that told me what I should be writing. The biggest impact, if you want to know where my greatest inspiration for writing the counter-racist code came from, it came from the white supremacists. You better believe that they are inspired. They inspired me to oppose what they are doing because I could see that what they are doing is incorrect. And it's still my inspiration, my greatest inspiration. The code itself says that when you invent a poison, you're also inventing an antidote to that poison, if that poison should not have been invented in the first place. That's compensatory logic. That's why I say follow the logic. That's what will take us where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
Every non-white person on this planet, don't follow Neely Fuller, don't follow any individual. Individual people make mistakes. You can listen to every individual, and you should. I do. I don't care who's talking, even somebody who's half inebriated. Sometimes a person who's drunk, and I've actually experienced this, will say something that's absolutely profound. Out of all the other nonsense things that they're saying, they will say something that really gives you pause to really think.
Yes, sir.
Everybody might know something. So you tap into all sources, but you follow logic.
Logic.
1 and 1 is 2, even on the moon.
That is absolutely correct. All righty. Let's see here. We are getting ready to close out the first hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. We're going to have more of your Gmails. I have a whole list of Gmails to have Mr. Fuller address. Mr. Fuller, before we go into that, can you say a little bit about your with your book before we have to break it off here?
It's a textbook for victims of white supremacy. It's called the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. That means it's addressed to individual persons. That's why it's called compensatory. We don't have anything, as far as I know, because I was looking for something like that when I started writing the book. I say, where's the book that tells me as an individual what I'm supposed to say, what I'm supposed to do, each and every day, wherever I happen to be? I want that kind of book.
Yes.
Has anybody written that kind of book? So I started shopping around, trying to find it, and everything seems to be either a history or novels. I read a lot of novels, James Baldwin, Richard Wright, and whatnot, and that was all fine, very inspirational and all like that. I said, but I want some kind of book that tells me the mechanics of what I should do and what I shouldn't do and how I should go about doing it as an individual every day. I couldn't find one, so I figured I would write one.
We're going to have to break it off and go to the second hour. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back.
Sir.
All righty, welcome back to the second hour of the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. We go where you go on the world's greatest radio, that is talktainmentradio.com. I'm your co-host, Mr. Bobby, and this is Radio the Way It Should Be Heard. Our on-topic subject today is the continuation of last session's topic, which is economics. And Mr. Fuller will address your questions or your Gmails with that. You can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. One important thing I wanted to say before we were cut off by the station here is that you can get Mr. Fuller's book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, by going to where, Mr. Fuller?
ProduceJustice.com. That's ProduceJustice.com. Like in production, that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I adapted. I chose to use that term on my website, ProduceJustice.com, pointing to that's what we're all supposed to be doing, producing a product. I say that's what our assignment is, apparently, because that's the one thing that's missing on the planet. A lot of people say love is missing, and that's true, but love is the same as justice. You can't have justice without love. You can't have love without justice. So they are one and the same. There's no such thing as having love if you don't have justice. So that's why love doesn't exist, because justice doesn't exist. We have to produce it. That's a product that has to be produced.
Okay. ProduceJustice.com. You can get that book and then the word guide for an additional fee. And all the information is on ProduceJustice.com. Okay, let's go to the Gmails. And this is a question from Mirtu. He's from, the so-called country of French Guiana. He says, Mr. Fuller, despite your work, Mr. Fuller, what is most important? Let's see here. Does Mr. think? I'm just reading it the way he has it here. Does Mr. think, despite his work, that most of the non-white black people understand the seriousness of racism as the major problem, which needs to be handled seriously rather as to be taken as a subject of discussion to socialize and feel good? Because this is where my observations lead me, that non-white / black people, mostly on a daily basis, don't understand that it is a very serious problem and not something to take lightly. Thank you, Mirto, from the so-called French Guiana country. Mr. Fuller?
Yes, this was discussed before in the last hour, the previous hour, and I bring it up all the time. And it's also in the front of both of the textbooks, the extended textbook, the Word Guide, and also the expanded revised edition, and also the original edition of the book. You had a passage in that book, and that is, if you don't understand white supremacy,
yes,
what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will confuse you. And that applies to all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You will be confused if you're a non-white person on this planet in the system of white supremacy, if you don't understand white supremacy, you won't understand anything else about any of those other areas of activity, any of the areas of activity that the white supremacists dominate, because the white supremacists dominate what happens in all of those areas of activity among the non-white people of this planet.
Yes.
Which means they dominate all of your comings and goings. They dominate what your future is going to be and what it's going to look like, and the future of your offspring, and what you're going to consider important and what you're going to consider not important. They dominate that. And that's what white supremacy means. And we don't understand that because we are too busy trying to impress each other with our little trinkets and toys and whatnot that we are allowed to have by the white supremacists.
Okay. All righty. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the viewers here, and we have quite a few viewers and worldwide. So you're doing a good job, Mr. Fuller. Okay. Hopefully, Myrto, that answered your question. We have another one from Emma, and she says this. Mr. Fuller, I am of African descent. I am a writer, currently living in Bali, Indonesia. I regularly listen to the program and have done so for over 3 years. Plus, I have both books and refer to them when I lecture. First, an observation and or comment. A few of your callers, Mr. Fuller, are vindictive towards you, looking for ways to attack you personally rather than embrace the message that you are offering and further researching its value for themselves. This I find displeasing, but as you say, VGQ. A personal code I use in analyzing anything is this: the truth cannot be used to deceive. My question to you, Mr. Fuller, is how can we make deception more obvious to those trapped within it? Thank you. Greatly appreciate you, Emma from Bali in Indonesia.
By revealing truth. That's how you reveal deception. You just reveal truth. And you never call anybody a liar. That's name calling. You just simply say, well, I'll give my opinion. That's all you do. You don't have to react to what somebody else says and by trying to knock down what they're saying. You just simply say, well, now, this is my opinion. And then you try to come up to the best of your ability with what you consider to be the truthful way of expressing whatever it is that you're expressing. The antidote for all falsehood is truth. And what's the best route for revealing truth? Well, the best route, like I say about solving problems, is what? Questions and answers. So even when people, as the lady alluded to, sometimes quote unquote attack me, that doesn't disturb me. That causes me to first of all think in terms of what I'm supposed to be doing according to the code. And so when a person says something about you, the first thing you want to know is not who's saying it. The first thing you want to know is it true? So when someone says, Buller, you're all wet. You don't know what you're talking about. I mean, and you're this and you're that. Well, the first thing I do is look and see if these things that they're saying about me is true. And then the next question is, this is a question, should it be true? And that's all I have to determine. That thing that they said about me, should that be true? Or should it not be true? In order to do what? In order to be doing the correct thing. So, therefore, it's not personal, it's business. And anything that you see that's in error, you're supposed to point it out. But you do it by saying, this is my opinion. Because you can't really prove anything to anybody unless they wanted to, whatever you're trying to prove, to be proven to them. So you just offer it as a viewpoint, you might say, an opinion. You say, well, let's look at it this way. And that's what I do with the code book.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, everything in that book is a matter of choice. It's not dictatorial at all, even though it may sound that way, because it's a code. A code is just a way of getting things done.
Yes, sir.
And if a person turns to a certain page and you say, this doesn't make sense to me, I can't use this, and I'm not going to, well, that's your choice.
Yes, sir.
So you turn to a page and you say, now, here on this page, he makes a little bit of sense out of this entire book. It might be just 2 or 3 lines that you get out of the entire book. I mean, you say, now, I can make some sense of this, and I can use it. Well, that's what you do.
Yes, sir.
Because don't ever take anything that anybody says and run with it and try to use it without you understanding what it is that you are doing and without you proving to yourself that it works for you.
All righty.
And that is the formula for solving this entire quote-unquote race problem.
Okay. All righty. Good answer. I like that. Okay. Man, I'm telling you, Mr. Fuller, I'm looking at the screen here, and you have quite a few people from all around the world that are now listening, and that is good. All right. Speaking of that, let's go to Colorado. This is from Angela, listening in Colorado. She says, good day, Mr. Fuller. And I thank you for your hard work. I have a few suggestions for a caller. I was listening to the show over the weekend, and I heard a young lady inquire about having your work put into audio book format. As her reason for this request, she mentioned she knows some people that want to read your book or your work, but these people don't read well. I would like to suggest that they use a dictionary as well as your book, your word guide, Mr. Fuller, to help them understand what is being said or what is being read or said, and or get a group together to read with them to help them understand. These are much quicker solutions to that problem than the audio book. Mr. Fuller, comment?
Yes, and also, yes, right now I'm not contemplating having an audio book. I want people to learn how to read the English language if they possibly can, and at some point I would like to see the book that I have produced be produced in other languages so that people don't have to learn English. I mean, even though I have written mine in English because that's the only language that I'm familiar with. But the people who are already familiar with the English language to the extent that they speak it and can understand it, but maybe cannot read nor write it, I would suggest that all of those people try to learn to read and write the English language that they are already speaking, because it will facilitate them in that language better,
yes,
and also help them to learn other languages better.
Mm-hmm.
You have to start with something, so you start with what you have. And an excellent, not only read the basic book, the code book that I have produced, and the word guide also in the English language, but also read the English language dictionary. I mean, just if you have a lot of time, and sometimes it takes a lot of time to really, if you really just want to relax and really absorb what you're reading in a dictionary would be very boring for most people to read, but I don't find that true at all. I find that just turning the pages of a comprehensive dictionary in the English language I absorb quite a bit. It kindles my interest, just the words. You don't do it in just in one stretch. You just pick it up and look at a few words every now and then. I think that's the best approach. That way it doesn't become boring to you.
Yes.
And it doesn't wear your eyes out either, because usually the words are very small, in very small print. But you just pick out a few words, learn those words, and then associate those words words with other words, because all words are associated
Right.
with other words. Otherwise, you couldn't have definitions to words.
That's correct.
Yes, but you learn a lot about the mechanics of language, and then you learn a lot about how people will behave, because people behave according to the way that they have received language.
Now, before I go to the station promo, I want to ask you a question about that, since you used that statement. Would the word guide, the compensatory word guide, help in that context?
Yes, absolutely. And you use, that's why I wrote the word guide, so that the word guide is designed to be counter-racist in nature. And in other words, it helps you to think, speak, and act in a counter-racist fashion by using the definitions. And mostly, if people who have looked at the word guide, they have seen that you do what? You ask a lot of questions about words.
Yeah.
Yes. Why? Because what do I say all the time?
The
problems are solved through the process of what?
Questions and answers.
Questions and answers. So you ask a lot of questions about every word that a person uses that sounds like it may not make sense to you until that word does make sense to you.
Yes. Yeah, as a matter of fact, before I go to the station ID, I just happened to turn to page 177 in the word guide, and I just happened to turn to it, and it said, it mentioned interracial marriage, and under that, you gave a reason for it. Then you gave an example for that, and then underneath that, on the next page, 178 to most of page 179, you gave notes on that. So how to use that term and what does that mean? So it's very explanatory as to a person that had a question on that. It's very in depth, very comprehensive. Yeah. All righty. Let's do this. Talk Team It Radio is a 24/7, no-charge, worldwide broadcasting facility that have hosts delivering on various topics such as news, lifestyle, sports, health, wellness, religion, and, of course, politics. Now, here's one that I would like to share with you that I shared in the first hour, and it is called Conversate in the AM. Conversate in the AM with Kahari and Mr. Brother Ed, and sometimes the righteous Reverend Peterman, going nowhere no show dares to go. You know, you can join the crew as they bring you provocative, stimulating, and controversial news from around the world as well as locally. Now, Conversate in the AM can be heard daily from 8 till 9 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time on TalkTeamItRadio.com, and they were blowing up today, speaking about the information or some new information on the death or murder of Martin Luther King. It was quite interesting. But anyway, Conversate in the AM, heard exclusively on TalkTeamItRadio.com from 8 until 9 a.m. daily. That's right here on radio, the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. Our topic today is the first area of people activity, economics. You can have and direct all your questions toward Mr. Fuller in that area, or even off topic by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, and we will try to get you together here. Okay, while we wait for the phones to ring, this came from Daryl, Mr. Fuller. Let me say this. He says, greetings, Mr. Fuller. Thank you for the program, and it is greatly needed and greatly appreciated. With respects and regards to VGQ, please, Mr. Fuller, don't hesitate to end the calls, or I guess with me, with callers who are calling asking questions, but who are calling to lecture the audience or even antagonize the host, Mr. Bobby, cut them off. Mr. Fuller, what is your response to that?
Well, my response is everybody is entitled to his or her opinion, including white people who can call in and say what they think about the whole program, what they think about me, and what they think about what I have written. They can do that. I mean, they're allowing me to do it. I believe in people stating their minds or whatever it is they have on their minds. But then it comes down to a question of how much time do you have and what is the program for? See what I mean?
Yes,
That's why I say VGQ. People can say what they want to say, but we try to keep, and I need to do some of this myself, I think, sometimes. Sometimes I'm told I should do it. Try to be as brief as I possibly can and come to the point without rambling all over the place and of whatever point it is I'm trying to make. And so it's a balancing act. And we all have to learn how to do that better than what we're doing, presumably. Always try to improve. And but as a suggestion as to how the show should be run, with the commercials that have to be done, they have to be done, I've been told. And with the way that the station is run, you have a limited amount of time. And the hosts and what the hosts can and cannot do, there are codes that govern that. So all that has to be taken into consideration. So it's just a matter of balance.
Yes.
Like everything is, if we're going to achieve that thing called justice.
That's correct. Well, thank you. So I will not be cutting you off. All righty. On topic today, before we get to your question, Renzo, on topic today, which is economics, you wrote on page 63 of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept, you said this: if you do not have constructive employment and or if you are without the things that you must have for constructive self-support, you mentioned food, garments, shelter, etc., do one or more of the following, preferably in the following sequence. You said, number one, go wherever necessary to seek constructive temporary shelter or housing from someone whom you believe can afford to provide you with constructive contemporary shelter. Two, go wherever necessary to work constructive employment, job that will help you to receive constructive support, which would be food and so forth. And then three, seek to make compensatory emergency investment requests, the so-called begging or pleading, from white people who you have reason to believe can best afford to help you receive that most constructive support. And then on page 63, you said, a question came up, what is the best and correct thing to say about people who beg? That kind of got to me. So could you explain that before we go to our next caller?
Oh, sure. Begging is just asking more than once. That's what begging is. That's the definition of begging, the compensatory definition for begging. You ask somebody for something that you want or need. And if they don't give it to you the first time you ask, the second time you ask, that's not a request that you're making. You're begging. That's the second time, because you were turned down the first time.
Even if it's from white people that you're begging from, or it doesn't matter?
Oh, you should always try to, you ask of white people more than anybody for anything that you need. Why? Because in the system of white supremacy, they are likely to have what it is that you need. Okay. More than anybody else. So the compensatory code says, all over the world as we speak right now, what are a lot of black people doing? They are trying to cross oceans in rubber rafts and leaking boats.
Yes.
And paying people, huge amounts of money. Trying to do what? Trying to go somewhere other than where they are. They don't want to be where they are. They are called migrants. And they are crossing great bodies of water or land masses. Sometimes with their babies in their arms.
Mm-hmm.
And they are trying to go where? Someplace other than where they are. Now, where are these places? They're not just looking for another place. There are places everywhere. What is a place? It's just a place, that's all. No, they are looking for a place where there are some people. Now, what people are they looking for? They are looking for some white people. And among these white people are whom? Some white supremacists, meaning people who have dominion over things and over other people. So they're trying to find these people, and when they find them and encounter them, they're going to do what? Standing there with their babies in their arms. They're going to say, what do you have that you can give me that I need? Because I need everything because I have nothing. And that, when they ask twice, it's begging. And so that's what you should do, because if you're a prisoner of war, you're a beggar anyway.
Okay.
And we're all prisoners of war. You beg for jobs. You beg for housing. You beg for money. You beg for a loan. Oh, you say, oh, no, I asked for a loan, whatnot, and sometimes you beg for a loan. You get turned down, so you go down the block to another place, or you renegotiate the first request that you made. You say, well, I mean, if you can't do this, how can you compensate, I mean, by at least doing this? If you can't give me this amount, can you give me a lesser amount? It's not enough, but it's better than nothing. So you're sitting there begging all the time. Why? And it's not anything to be ashamed of. You were born in a situation where you came into the world begging. And as long as you're in the system of white supremacy, I don't care who you are. If you're trying to get that educational loan, you're begging. You are begging what people? If you're a person of color and you're trying to get an education, you are begging the white supremacists to educate you, whether you realize that or not. Just when you ask for that quote-unquote student loan, or when you say, I am the most educated person in my tribe. Well, now, what does that mean? Where did you get your quote-unquote education? Oh, I graduated from the University of London. Yeah, right. And who is the University of London, directly or indirectly? Answer that question.
Wow. Okay. Outstanding. All righty, let's do this. TalkTameItRadio.com. We go where you go, and you can check us out on WCRS-FM 98.3 Wednesday and Sunday evenings. Blogs and podcasts are available. Download the TalkTameItRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. Stay right there. We have a caller on the line, and welcome back to TalkTameItRadio.com. We go where you go, and you can download the TalkTameItRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller. We are live now for 2 hours from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And we appreciate the fact that you called. I'm looking at the screen, and I can now tell how many people are listening, and that is great news. Oh, man, that is really, really great news. Anyway, this is radio the way it should be heard. You can call in if you'd like by calling 1-877-932-9766. Our on topic today is the continuation of the first area of people activity, which is economics, but you can go off topic if you would like, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com. Let's go to the phone lines, and we are going to go to line number, which one? Line number 1. What is your question for Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.?
Brother, I really don't have a question, but I would appreciate it greatly if you and Brother Fuller will allow me to make a comment.
Okay, we'll give you 2 minutes right now. Go.
Well, thank you, sir. You're too kind. First, much love and respect to you and Brother Fuller and all decent, loving human beings. Now, to add what Brother Fuller said about white people leaving and chasing the white man. People leave and chase the white man because the white man run their land, took over their government, took their resources. Same way, people in the South ran up north, running from the white man. What did they run up north to? The same white man. I came from Birmingham, moved to Chicago. I didn't know police was shooting down blacks in Chicago when I was living in Birmingham. I found that out when I got here. So them people who run into France, Britain, they gonna run back into the same thing they left. Let me say this. Marcus Garvey, I wasn't living when he was alive, but in his reading, he used to say to the white man, "Man, ain't you got no humanity?" That question remains today. Marcus Garvey looked at these people conducts in the 1920s. He said, "Man, where is your humanity?" We have to ask this question today just as Mr. Fuller is doing. Where is these people's humanity? This is why I am saying these people have shown no humanity. So what do they have planned today? What do they have up their sleeve today? I say they have extermination planned for people here African descent. Pay attention to the environment, the news story, what is happening. This is why this statement is so important. The process of understanding or perceiving a common evil has put many people into a situation of the utmost danger. Most people who was exterminated, they never saw it coming.
Okay.
They saw bad things being done to them, but they didn't see extermination.
Okay, my
this
brother.
Is where we
I'm
are.
sorry, but that's the 2 minutes, but thank you.
Okay,
all
thank
right.
you, brother.
Yes, sir. Okay. I guess we would have to put that under VGQ, Mr.
Under
Fuller.
VGQ.
Yes, okay. Okay, you care to comment before we go to the next caller?
No.
Okay, all righty. All righty. What line here? Line number 2? Okay, number 2. You are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller, Jr. What is your question for him, please, sir?
Well, I'd like to say, Mr. Fuller, I'm on your website getting ready to try to order your new book, and I just want to say thank you for your work. Your work is invaluable. I don't read your work. I study your work. I study what Dr. Chris Wilson says, and I love your new website. I think this is much more helpful than the other website. And as far as the gentleman's past caller about extermination, yes, Dr. Chris Wilson did say we're living in another type of Nazi Germany, and it's worth studying that time period and events to get an understanding of what's happening today.
Mr. Fuller?
Well, that comes under VGQ too, and I appreciate her appreciation for the website, etc.
All righty. Thank you, ma'am, for your call. And
You're welcome.
And thank you for listening. All righty. Let's go to the Gmails, and we have Brother Renzo. He says this. He says, as it relates to gentrification, Mr. Fuller, should we put any energy into fighting against it? Examples would be thwarting developers from building high-rises in black neighborhoods or organizing committees to stop expensive developments. Is it worth doing, or should we be putting our energy elsewhere?
Well, it depends on how the gentrification, quote unquote, evolves and what its intent is. And so, here again, all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. You go to the people who are doing whatever it is that they are doing, the people who have the power to do this, quote unquote, gentrification. And you talk to them, first of all, about what is it for, and can you be a part of it, and is it going to produce a constructive result where you are concerned? And if so, what is that constructive result? And have them give you the answers. Everything is about questions and answers. See, the word gentrification, what does that actually mean? And are you supposed to be a part of it, or outside of it? Or if you're a part of it, what is it going to produce? And if so, what is that constructive result? And have them give you the answers. Everything is about questions and answers. See, the word gentrification, what does that actually mean? And are you supposed to be a part of it, or outside of it? Or if you're a part of it, what is it going to produce? what part are you supposed to play? And if you're outside of it, what does that mean by being outside of gentrification?
Okay.
Are you being gentrified along with the other people who are being gentrified?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
I mean, what's going on here, and for what ultimate purpose? So you always want to be a part of anything that has constructive activity as its constructive goal.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
and you want to be a part of anything that's constructive.
Okay.
So the first thing you want to know is this constructive? And if it is constructive, is it going to be constructive including me?
Yes.
And if it's going to exclude me, how is it going to exclude me?
Okay.
And where am I going to be if I'm excluded? And is that exclusion, is that going to be constructive?
All right.
And if it is, in what way?
All right. Let's look at gentrification. It says gentrification is a process of renovation and revival of deteriorated urban neighborhoods by means of influx of more affluent residents, which results in increased property values and the displacing of lower income families and small businesses. This is a common and controversial topic in urban planning. Well, if it's going to do that, how would that benefit somebody who was low income, Mr. Fuller?
That's the question. And that's the question you ask. If you're going to move me from where I am to someplace else in order for you to accomplish what, and in order for me to accomplish what.
Okay.
And I want answers to those questions.
Mm-hmm.
To anybody who's getting ready to have me move anywhere, from one cell block to another. I mean, what's the other cell block going to be like that you're going to move me to? I always tell people when it comes to moving, it's not where you're moving from. The question is, what is it like where you're moving to? Sometimes people tell me that, well, they're changing towns to go to, to go to a different job situation. And I say, well, is your job situation where you're going to be better than the job situation where you are? And they'll say, well, I don't know. I say, well, shouldn't you try to make some effort to find that out before you get there?
Wait a minute now. Okay, before we go to the next question, we're in the prison. Well, if we are in the prison, according to the code, and the warden has the power to move you, why would you ask that question? Well, why are you moving me from this cell to the next?
Yes, well, you can ask the warden, is he improving your situation, or is he downgrading your situation? And the warden is to give you an answer. He'll say, oh, well, yes. Rather than this one bunk cell that you got, you're going to be moving into a cell with 4 other people and have less space. So you say, well, that's not an improvement. But the warden just may tell you, I know it's not an improvement.
Oh, wow.
That's why I'm moving you. Now you have to face that.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Okay.
And then you have to make plans around that. I always tell people, stay ready to move at any time, because most likely you might be called on to move from where you are, particularly if you're kind of satisfied where you are.
Yeah,
the white supremacists do not like non-white people to be in a situation where it looks like they are being constructively progressive.
Oh, okay.
They don't mind you making progress in doing something like getting in a better position to use more drugs or sell more drugs or something like that, using that as an example, or do something that's harmful. But anything that looks like it's going to get you out of that situation where you no longer have to sell drugs because you now have a job that pays you kind of figures where you can actually pay for your expenses, I mean, legitimately and all like that. The white supremacists don't want that.
Okay.
They want you to always be in an unhealthy situation if you're non-white.
All righty. Okay, going to the emails. Let's see here. This is from Jermaine. Says here, Mr. Fuller, can you talk about the effects the integration of schools have had on non-white people? I find it amazing that non-white people produce geniuses in small one-room schoolhouses with one teacher teaching 12 grades. However, non-white children of today graduate with limited reading and critical thinking skills. How did non-white people with limited education own hundreds of acres of land today? Today, I can barely pay for the home on a small plot. How is this, Mr. Fuller?
Because the white supremacists have a now you see it, now you don't approach to everything dealing with non-white people.
Okay, explain that one.
Meaning they always, if they give you something, they take something else away. All right? Now you see it, now you don't. That's what they do. If they offer you one thing, look out. They're going to take away something of value. That's the way they operate. They're going to give you something of value, they'll take away something of value.
Yes.
So that you don't have a net gain. All right? You'll be scrapping around. I mean, if they give you an excellent job, they will see to it that the house that you're buying, your job is not going to be able to cover it. All right? Or if they give you a house and a job where you have a decent house and a decent job, then they will cut corners on your education. See, they're going to take something away. Anytime they offer you something or you keep being persistent about begging for something and they give it to you, they're going to figure out a way to come through the back door and take something away from you that you also need, so that you didn't have a progressive gain, because now you're spending all your time, that money, that increase that you got in your salary, you're spending all of that increase in rent.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they kept going up on the rent.
Yes.
It's a very simple formula. They just keep adding to your cost of whatever it is that you're doing.
So they're not there to
If you're showing some signs of getting educated, then they will go up on the price of education.
Okay.
So it makes it more difficult for you to get, quote, unquote, educated.
Yeah.
They just raise the price.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, they're not there to comfort you, huh?
No. See, and if they give you something and you examine the something that they gave you and you say, oh, this is excellent. I thought they were trying to trick me again, but they didn't. I mean, this thing that they gave me is perfect. I mean, it's first class. Mm-hmm. But then when you look around, I mean, something else is missing.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah. While you were looking at what they gave you, they snatched something else.
Yes.
All right?
So, you know what?
They'll do this every time. So you got to look, always make an inventory and see that you got everything that you brought with you when you walk in to sit down. Because if they give you something that you came there to get, when you walk away, just like a pickpocket, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
you sit there and talk, and you negotiate it, and you receive something, and then when you get a half a block away, you feel your pockets, and something is missing.
Something is missing, yeah.
Because they took something while they were sitting there talking to you.
Now I understand the codified response about being constructive and not really saying anything, because they could use that against you.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. And they can always say, when you go back and say, well, hey, I came here to get such and such a thing, you say, well, I gave you what you came here to get. Say, yeah, but you took something while I was here.
Yeah.
And then they look at you and say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. TalkTainmentRadio.com. We go where you go, and you can download the TalkTainmentRadio.com app to your cell or to your tablet. That's radio the way it should be heard. This is Mr. Bobby, the co-host on the compensatory concept with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Our on-topic subject today is economics, but of course you can change that to with any subject that you want and have Mr. Fuller address that. You can do that by calling 1-877-932-9766, or you can Gmail me at 7mrbobby@gmail.com, as we have 11 minutes remaining in the show. Okay, let's go to line number one? Line number one, you're up. What is your question for Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.?
Hi. I just want to say one thing, that what's happening to the website for Talktainment Radio, because I used to could listen after I got a chance to speak to Mr. Fuller and somebody cut me off. Like I said, listen to the rest of the show online, so it doesn't seem to be happening now.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what the problem is technically, but hopefully they have it worked out. But I was told by Fred, the technician, that if something like that happens, that you were to refresh. So I don't know, but I'm glad that you are listening to it. But while we have you on the line, do you have a question for Mr. Fuller?
Yes, I would like to say, Mr. Fuller, I think it's great that you're clarifying that leaving capitalism and running to socialism and communism isn't necessarily the answer for us black people. Some black people feel like they can be accepted by whites that have these socialist and communist views, and the roots of the problem is capitalism, and they just go on and on. But the root of the problem is racism.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes, I mentioned the words capitalism, communism, and socialism in the word guide. I also mentioned these words in the basic textbook, the revised expanded edition, and also in the original 1984 basic book. First of all, here again, we do ask questions. Yes. What is capitalism? What is communism? What is socialism? What does it mean by being social? And if you check the books, you will find these words used quite a bit, but it's mostly in the form of questions. When people start talking about, well, the solution is we got to get rid of this communism and have capitalism, or we got to get rid of capitalism and have communism, or we got to get rid of both of them and have socialism. Well, that calls for what? Questions. Many, many questions, starting with, what exactly is capitalism? What is it that makes a person a capitalist? How do you get to be a capitalist? You probably have about 10 or 12 dozen questions about just the definition of capitalism and communism and socialism. You want to get that straight first. What are the definitions? What's the definition? What's the difference between a person being a capitalist and a communist? I mean, if you have something in common with a person, and these questions I asked in the textbook, does that make you a communist? You sometimes say that, well, I go fishing with a buddy of mine, and we got a lot in common when it comes to fishing. And you say, oh, does that make you a communist? Well, you got a lot in common with somebody? A person might say, well, I got married last week, and I married a lady that when I talked to her, well, the reason I married her because we got a lot in common. Oh, well, I mean, you better get away from me. Hey, it looked like you might be a communist because you got something in common with somebody. All right? So what are we talking about here? I mean, do we ever really examine words? And I have these words in the textbook.
Yes. And
I raise these type of questions. These are the exact type of questions I ask. I mean, and I say, how do you get to be a capitalist? Because everybody keeps saying, everybody should be a capitalist.
Yes.
Everybody should support capitalism. All right. If I'm going to support capitalism, how can I support capitalism without being a capitalist? And so, therefore, you got to take me by the hand and guide me. I mean, not just show me, or give me some theoretical ideas. No, make me a capitalist.
Yes,
You want me to be a capitalist? Where's my capital? Where is my capital? The capitalist is supposed to have capital. Now, what is capital? First of all, get that straight.
Get that straight. Yes.
And then give me a whole bunch of it so that I can now go around and be a proud capitalist. But how can I be something, and you ain't even describing to me how I can be it, but you insist that I be it. And I've been told, I fought, they told me when they put me in uniform, you're going to be fighting against communism. That's what you're fighting, okay? And even had me lecturing on it and whatnot, according to the little pamphlets that they gave me. And to this day, I don't know what I was saying,
Yeah.
That was back in 1952.
Yeah.
And I tell people to this day, I have no idea. In fact, I got commendations on my presentation. but I got no idea of what I was saying.
No idea.
So I like to know what I'm saying to people.
Exactly.
You know.
All
So
right.
in order for me to get that straight, let's get the definition straight.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, man, for your call. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go to the Gmails, and this is from Harry, Mr. Fuller, and he says this. A gentleman called you last week, Mr. Fuller, and asked how could he get his nephew to get his nephew to behave in class. Mr. Fuller, I would like to respond with a suggestion. I suggest that they take sugar out of his diet and introduce him to natural, non-meat, non-dairy, vegan diet. No sugar, because sugar causes children to misbehave. Would you care to comment on that, Mr. Fuller?
Well, that may be true. I don't know. So, you know, people can look into it. That comes under VGQ.
Okay.
Look into what the gentleman said and see that, first of all, is that true? And if it's true, then act according to whatever it is to see to it that is taken care of based on that truth.
I see. Well,
yes, that's the procedure. That's the compensatory procedure.
Well, the studio audience has mentioned that it is true. Well, one person had mentioned that it is true that sugar does cause that. But again, like you said before, to always ask questions.
Yes.
To see what's going on. It may be true and it may not be true. This lady here just mentioned that it was true or is true. So I don't know.
Not only that, I mean, this just came to me.
Yes, sir.
In a compensatory way.
Yes, sir.
He said that it makes his offspring act up, you might say.
Yes.
In a classroom.
Yes, sir.
He can have his offspring bring that up. That, wait a minute. All this sugar that you all have in these vending machines, does that affect my ability to learn? Does that affect?
Good question, yeah.
Does that affect my behavior in this classroom? If any of you teachers have an answer to that, and if you don't have an answer, can you find out and bring that to this class, and then maybe I will stop acting up if I get the answers to that.
Wow.
You know,
and I think they have what Beggars Night coming up on this so-called Halloween, whatever that is, and I believe with the giving out of candies or whatever, that's certainly going to cause a lot of stuff going on. Wouldn't you say so, Mr.
And I think maybe in a classroom, a place of learning, that should be taken into consideration. That when you put up all of those little pumpkins and whatnot, you can say, well, wait a minute. You know, first of all, what is all this about? I mean, are we supposed to be teaching children to be afraid of black and orange? Or what? You know, what is it? You know, what's going on here? Hobgoblins and witches, people riding brooms. I mean, maybe this is something we need to examine in whole, not just the little gifts that you get from going to door,
well,
all dressed up in somebody that looks like they're the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and we got enough people around here who are walking around who are going to be dead in the neighborhood already. I mean, you know, so we need to examine this whole thing. We might have to scrap this whole project
I don't know.
and come up with something better than this thing called what? Halloween.
Well, I think the sugar industry or people who make candies would probably not like that at all.
Well, they probably won't like it. Well, maybe they should go into the asparagus and broccoli business.
Go into the health food business, huh?
Why not?
You know,
They got the money.
You make a good point.
All they got to do is do a switcheroo.
Yeah, but you got a lot of adults that like to go to the boo balls and walk around in those costumes and glorify death or whatever.
Yes, going around, you know, I mean, walking zombies and all like that. We got enough zombies. It's called, you know, high on meth.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
But again, the white supremacists allow that to happen. That's okay with them.
They produce this type of thing.
Yes.
We need to examine everything and counter racist ideology.
There you go.
To examine everything, not some things.
Not something.
Examine every holiday that you got.
There you go.
You might have to scrap your entire holiday.
Well, you know that when you hear that music, that's the end of the show. Boo!